Why don't we talk about some people that we would like to have round for dinner with a little twist? The people are dead, and we can have three of them. So if you were to have three dead people round for dinner, who would they be? Not necessarily at the same time, perhaps. If you'd like one on one, or whether you just like to stick all three round the table just to see what happens.
I'm assuming physically dead. Good question. I've got my list. In fact, when I was speaking to my family about this, I told them who I'm going to have, and my daughter and my wife went quiet. And my daughter sniggered. I said, "What are you laughing at?" He said, "You know, Dad, you're just like Frasier." He said, "Really? These people you're having round?" Anyway, it's my list. These are the people I'm going to have round. And I'm going to start off just to say they're not anything to do with my family. Because I could very easily have chosen my biological father who passed away in the 1990s, and I never really knew. That would be for another time. So I'm going to start off. I've got three. How many you got?
I've looked at three. I actually found this really hard to think about who I'd invite round. Anyway, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4 names there, and one that I put there, and then I thought, no, I can't do that one. And there's lots of family members that I too would have liked to have included, because there's lots of people in my whakapapa, my lineage, who I would like to...
Can you say that again?
Whakapapa. So within my lineage, I'd quite like that. Whakapapa, by the way, is a Maori term. I know you appreciate it, but other people may not. It's a Maori term for your ancestry, going back, the people that have made you and brought you into your being. It's a great word.
The first time you hear it, however, it causes a bit of reaction, doesn't it?
It does, because I was in my hallway, just to my right. I have photographs of various family members, ancestry going all the way back to my sort of great-great-great-grandparents type thing. And when my eldest granddaughter was quite young, I would pick her up and I would walk her along and point out who the people were to where she ends up, and saying, "Oh, this is your great-great-great-great-grandmother, and this is your great-grandmother, and track it all down." And my wife says to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm teaching her whakapapa." And my wife said, "What?" I said, "I'm teaching her whakapapa." And she said, "Don't use language like that." And I said, "It's a proper word." And she said, "No, it's not. You're just making that up." It took a while for her to actually believe me.
Most people listening won't probably realise it doesn't begin with the letter F. It begins with the letters WH.
Yeah, that's right. So it catches you out a number of times, doesn't it, when you first get over here?
All right, then, so who's your first guest?
No, I'm asking you. Who's yours?
Oh, okay.
Come on, keep with the programme, man. It's me that feels under the weather, not you.
Well, I have three, and they're all long dead. However, I'm going to speak them in the present tense, because they're coming to dinner. There's a woman and there's two men. And the first one is a woman. And she lived in ancient Greece, round about 300 years before Christ. And she's always overlooked, and she happens to be called Xanthippe, but that's Xan with an X, not a Z. And she is the wife of Socrates. She's one of these characters that has a lot of stuff written about her from the academic side, but is never really considered beyond the academic side. And I would like to know why that was, which is why I'd invite her. Her name in Greek means yellow horse, so it refers to the fact that she would have been aristocratic. And she was at least 40 years younger than Socrates. Now, you know that I love philosophy, and you would say, well, why would you not bring Socrates? Well, Socrates was called the gadfly. If he came to the dinner table with my other guests, he'd be asking all these questions. So why do you think that is? And eventually, people just get fed up with him. So I thought Xanthippe would be an excellent choice. Socrates reckoned that she was a hard and difficult woman. She had spirit. She famously poured a chamber pot full of piss all over her husband's head because he annoyed her.
Sounds like a Matalow's wife.
Absolutely. Born and bred in the Bronx, St. Budo. She was considered a shrew throughout history. I got this quote. It comes from Socrates. I actually find this quite amusing because he liked her. And he said, "By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy forever. But if you get a common scold like my Xanthippe, you will become a philosopher." I just think that she's one of these women who lived in a very male-dominated world, and yet she's become known to history. And a lot of people who have looked at the stuff that Socrates talked about have often wondered, it's very feminine, actually, how much of it is the influence of his wife. And there is a strong argument that most of his ideas of ethics comes from the feminine point of view. And I can see why that is. So she would be a great one. She's the only female out of the three. I think she could stand up for herself, and I would just love to see whether, has she been painted badly because it's been men who have tended to leave the accounts of her, or is she actually as she was? And I'd just like her to come to the meal and bring her Greek olives and her retina, and I think we'd be talking for a long time.